Everyone, as promised, I made a little video to orient you to the data that I've analyzed from Saturday's field trip. So this Excel spreadsheet and a whole bunch of other resources are available to you in the ecosystems module, including a link to the guidelines and grading rubric that I gave you on Saturday, um, some more information about some of the calculations that I performed when I was analyzing these data, the NRCS soil table, the compiled results from the web soil survey searches that you guys did on these communities, some links to resources that I think might be useful as well. So there's a bunch of information there, including this Excel spreadsheet. So you've got three tabs, the overstory all, the understory raw data, and then some summary tables. So this spreadsheet is where I typed in the raw data that you guys collected in the field. I had to sort it so the numbers are out of order. I had to sort it by species, so that's why it looks funny. But down here I calculated the average distance that you guys walked from your center points to your trees. In this field we have the average diameter at breast height that you guys measured for your 4 trees along our transect. And then this row has the basal area. So to calculate the basal area, I took pi, multiplied it by the radius squared of the tree trunk. So basal area is a measure of how big, or the area covered by the stems of the trees. So we have data like this for the Eddy Creek Serpentine Barren, and then if you scroll down for the COS Forest, for the River Trail Riparian Zone and the River Trail Upland Zone. So I have these data summarized below. This is where I did the calculations to do some summarization, but I'm going to show you the summarization in some of these summary tables that I created because they're a little bit cleaned up and I think a little bit easier to interpret. So let's take a look at this tab with the summary tables for the overstory data that I just walked you through. First of all, this is an example of a table description. In your laboratory report, all of your figures and tables are going to require a description. So this is a great example of what we're looking for in a table description. So from the data that we were just looking at on the previous spreadsheet, I summarized the density of trees by the species that we found at that site. So here we can see the total density of trees at Eddy Creek was 2/1000th of a tree per meter squared. And then if you look over here, you can see the relative density in terms of percent. So of that 2/1000ths of a tree per meter square, how much of it was Jeffrey pine versus incense cedar versus Doug fir. So that's what we have in this column. Here we have the basal areas in centimeters squared. So remember, that means the area covered by the stems of the trees or the trunks of the trees. So here's the total basal area. These numbers are by species. And then this is the relative basal area. So this is the basal area that each tree covered divided by the total. So we can see that 77% of the relative basal area was Jeffrey pine, a little over 10% was incense cedar, and a little over 13% was Douglas fir. So we have similar data for each of the 4 sites that we visited. And we also have, I've also summarized all of the understory data that you guys collected and the light data. So on the understory tab, you can see the raw data. Having a little bit of a hard time believing that somebody found 46 species in the understory at Eddy Creek. And let's see, there was another one that was kind of funny somewhere. Not sure. Oh, I'm not sure where it is, but that number's a little bit funky. We might want to think about that. Okay, so these are the raw data, and you can see here I've just taken the averages of the 4 groups from your understory plots. So these are the data that you collected in the 1 by 1 meter plots. So for cover, the numbers down here are just the averages. This is the average for number of species that we found at Eddy Creek. This is the number for cover, percent cover of woody plants. This is the number for average number of species or species richness of woody plants. And then these are the average totals. So this would be the average total percent cover. This would be the average total number of species. So we can see we've got all the raw data here. And then if we look at the summary tab, I've tried to clean this up a little bit and put all of those averages into one table. So that's what we have here. We've got the averages, the average light meter readings for each of the 4 communities here. We've got the percent cover and species richness averages for the herbaceous plants here, and then we've got the percent cover and species richness for woody plants here. In the last column, these are the average totals, so total percent cover, and then total species richness or average number of species in the last column. So hopefully this helps orient you to what's here. I hope you have a lot of fun thinking about this and hope you get to know the results better as you write your results section and then have some fun trying to interpret these results in your discussion section. Please let me know if you have any questions.